Hello, FRANKLYN WEPNER here again, making another video. This time I want to present to you David
Schwartz.
Stage fright, I forgot.
No problem.
All right, David Schwartz, and this first tape is basically for him to just introduce himself and tell you who he is and what he's doing here, and why he's willing to sit here at all, and to explore possibly doing this work. He hasn't done it before, so today we're going to first do this hello, how are you thing, and then after that we're going to do 2 hours our basic work on awareness, different awareness zones, which is usually the first session I do with people. Maybe I better say, in case you never saw one of my tapes before, we're going to be doing a demonstration of Gestalt Therapy work on awareness, but I need to stress the fact that we have to call it Gestalt Therapy because that's what it is, but technically I don't have a license to do this. I've been doing it since 1975. I started in New York with avant-garde performers, and I used the work mostly over the years to train actors or singers, dancers, and worked a lot with yeshiva people, especially at the yeshiva where David is right now, Diaspora Yeshiva, as a matter of fact. In 1982, I went there, and for 1 year I worked with 50 people in 1 year, doing basically the same exact thing that David's going to do today. And then I came back 10 years later, worked with another 10, and David's from that same yeshiva, and he's interested in possibly doing some kind of a project there. Let's see, what else can I say? Maybe I should... so usually the way it works is we do this 2 hours on awareness, and then we have, a week later we do a session for 3 hours on working on a dream, and a week later another 3 hours working on a dream, and that's usually enough therapy for what I do with people, like a trained person, for 6 months or a year even, because so much personal work comes out of that. One reason is because I take very careful notes so that later on I give the feedback, and practically everything that happens is material that an actor can use as a basis of his art, if he really gets into it, and because really he's finding by working in the here and now in this kind of phenomenological way, a person is getting to what we call his roots, his essences, and that stuff is the same stuff that an actor needs to work with if he's working on a super objective, and if he knows what he's doing in a deeper way. Of course, most actors don't do that. They fake it, they use gimmicks. But this is my work for 35 years, has been training people to be able to work from their roots. And so I look for people like David who are willing to really take their life seriously and explore their life, and really without it's kind of flying blind. You don't really know what's going to come out of the work. You just start off, and I don't know either. It's always an exciting adventure to see what's going to happen. So that's why I thought it'd be interesting at this point, before we even work, which is something I never did before, to give David a lot of time to introduce himself and tell you who he is, and then later on, if he continues, we'll all see how what he learned influenced his point of view about this and that and the other thing. And I think that'll be a very important component of our process here, especially since one of the possible directions we're moving here is the idea of using this kind of process in a yeshiva, diaspora yeshiva, as a way of helping people, and I've done this with many years with yeshiva people, to get closer to themselves, to their spiritual life, to Torah. Okay, so that's basically good, maybe enough I said at the beginning, and now we're going to let David go ahead, and he might just talk for another half an hour by himself, or I might interrupt. I don't know if I have questions. It's basically, it's kind of like, when they interview some famous star on the TV. He's going to be a famous star, but he's not a famous star yet. But he interviews somebody, and it's his time. I did take some time at the beginning, but that's just in order to give you a context and to present David. Okay, David Schwartz.
Hello, whoever I'm speaking to. My name is David Schwartz, as FRANKLYN said. and I'm just an ordinary person or ordinary Jew off the proverbial streets. How I met Franklin was through the Rosh Yeshiva, and to tell you, I'm not a yeshiva person either.
Some people here don't speak Hebrew, so you need to tell them what Rosh Yeshiva is, okay?
Okay, the Rosh Yeshiva is that
the word means
the Rosh means head,
okay,
and Yeshiva, I guess, for lack of a better terminology, is a classroom or a place of study, a place where a person sits and learns. And I don't know how to start, where I should start in my life. I could start now and work in the reverse, or start in the beginning and work till now. I don't know what do you think the best approach is to
I mean, I know what I would want to start. I could ask you a question.
Okay, fine.
You know, usually we think of this kind of stuff, oh, this is for kinky, off-the-wall people, you know. And frankly, a lot of people I've worked with over the past 35 years have been definitely kinkily off-the-wall people, including myself, by the way. You know, medical school dropout, social work school throwout. But the thing about him is, he is a lawyer. So what is you would think lawyer, establishment, money, success, fame. What's he doing in a kinky place like this? You know, how about that?
I can tell you right away. I graduated law school, say 2004. Came to Israel, passed the bar, and when I was in Israel, I came to start seeking the truth and seeking answers and seeking things about God and about Torah, which is the wisdom of God. And from there, going back to America, there was a considerable letdown of seeking truth. And so when you don't have fulfillment in at least presenting the truth, and the courts or the judges or even your clients not accepting it as truth and finding some sort of way out of making a judgment or making a plea bargain, I just felt that I could no longer practice law, and it brought me through some ups and downs and some struggles. But
I think that would be very important and interesting, especially for people that are considering maybe going to yeshiva and working on their lives that way, to say something about the path the things that you tried that maybe didn't work so well that brought you to this point here. You want to risk this. By the way, this is definitely a risk. This is like Facebook made into a 2-hour movie, you know, or a 200-hour movie. I mean, this process might go on 200 hours. So this is Facebook with a super zoom lens here. All right. So what can you say? You want to say something about? You want to risk some of that stuff?
I'm very open with my past, and it's not that when I release this information, it won't be new to people who know me or who've seen me or who've met me. And I will say some of the risks sometimes are rewards.
Gotta be careful. I remember I told you, every time you dip down, your face disappears under that lid, you know. So keep it back, yeah.
So,
okay.
So we'll make it easier. If you talk about risk and paths and different things, my path was very up and down. I guess very for the cliche, a roller coaster ride. And Franklin asked about different choices that I made, or different risks that I took, or what sort of happened and choices I made, I guess, in a different language. But I would say the ones that didn't work were definitely drug use, and that would probably be the one path that I do regret taking, although there was some sort of benefit and some sort of learning towards spirituality. But I wouldn't recommend it to many people or any person that there is life without drugs, and there are the same sort of highs in different ways, and one of the paths I took was the street drugs, I guess, to say more than enough. And but that did sort of in a sense balance me out, I guess, because for so long I was very serious and into learning and the law and you know, very into routine. So I guess using drugs or using some sort of way out, I was able to find myself.
And when
here.
did you start in that? What age were you when you kind of went off in that direction?
I would say that right after I graduated law school.
How old were you then?
I was 2004, so I was I'm like 34 now. So 2004 would be
8 years ago.
8 years ago. So about 24, 25.
Yeah. This is very similar to my life, by the way. I mentioned in other videos, but I have a BA in chemistry from Cornell, and then I came in number 7 with a New York State Medical Regent Scholarship, and I went to medical school at Rochester, and I was all set to go, you know, fame and fortune. But I tried to ignore my musical background that I had, and one day I went to a concert at the Rochester Philharmonic, and walked out of there in the middle feeling like I could do better than Berlioz's Symphony Fantastique. So then the next day I was in tears. I walked into the dean's office, and that was the beginning of the end. The next thing goes in the army, got myself thrown out of the army, and then in the avant-garde theater world and music composition, it all started, you know,
yeah.
From one day saying no, I won't go on.
Yeah, and so I could tell you stories upon stories about the streets of Seattle, the streets of Boston or New York, but people are people, and they do what they do. And I guess one of the benefits that I did get out of this street life, if you will, was I was very naive as a teenager, and also in my college years, very naive to interactions between people, or that people are really bad and people do bad things and all these different things. So and I was very easily taken advantage of. So by going to the streets and sort of seeing that sort of mentality, it did make me more, I guess the word to use now is awareness, but it made me more aware of my surroundings and more competent in dealing with people either off the streets or even in a legal setting, because doing drugs and law, they're not mutually exclusive, or business and drugs and alcohol are all your different things. They're not mutually exclusive, so they can be done one and the same, but I never tried to mix boxes. But for sure that it gave me a better understanding of, even when I recovered from the drug use and went back to the law to even give it one more chance, it made me relate and understand the criminal or the person that I was defending in criminal defense, and it gave me an understanding of exactly where they're coming from, and this was after I came back from Israel and had a better understanding of the truth, and I just couldn't see myself practicing law and representing people who don't even have a respect for the law, because they're in that place they're in that place trying to defend themselves from a crime, and they're hardened criminals. And cliches became more and more from law school, more and more clear. They said, what happens when you put a thief in jail? He becomes a better thief. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you put a drug addict in jail? He gets more contacts to buy.
So now that you see that direction didn't somehow lead to where you wanted it to go, what would you say now is your new direction? What at this moment in your life, can you say, what would you say is your vision of what you'd like to accomplish, and how does that tie in with this sort of a project? Okay.
Well, the vision of my future is very, in my eyes, bright, like these lights are. But no, my vision of the future is honestly building a future for my wife and my soon-to-be baby, who may be blessed to be healthy and God-fearing and follow the Torah, and so my life now is a whole new direction of actually real seriousness. I got all the playfulness, not that playfulness and seriousness can't go together, but now I have a focus, I guess, and that focus is on building a family and really helping the Jewish nation and fulfilling my potential that Hashem, who the Jews call, I guess for lack of a better translation, the name, but Hashem is kind of a God, if you will. And so now my path is more or less following.
Maybe in case of people that are not knowledgeable of Hebrew, Hashem, the word means the name. Okay,
Yeah.
So we say the name instead of saying God. We just say the name.
And so from now on, I'll use the name Hashem because that's just easier for me and better for my vocabulary. So Hashem is now God or Lord but definitely only one God and only one entity and only one being who is the creator and controller of the world. So now I'm getting more of a sense with working now with FRANKLYN and also the Rosh Yeshiva, who is the head of the school that I'm in, and his name is Dr. Mordechai Goldstein, and may he blessed with Refuah Shalima, which is a rough translation is a complete healing or a perfect healing, or may he be able to be healthy and strong till 120 years old, so that we can show Torah from Mount Zion, where Diaspora Yeshiva is located, and fulfill the prophecy of Isaiah, which is the light of Torah shall shine from Mount Zion. And so my direction now is helping. I have the title, I guess, if this world I'm speaking to likes titles, I'm the director of project development, and I work very closely as the personal assistant of the Rebbe, Dr. Mordechai Goldstein, and now we're now entering into.
Before you go on to this, I want you to go on, but let me just say, I don't want you to get the impression here that we're only working in the context of Diaspora Yeshiva. For example, I live in Yishuv Adam here, Geva Benyanim, and there's an Ashlag Yeshiva here that I find very interesting, and I've been studying some of that Torah, and that fits right. So when I work with people that know about that, so we talk about it in terms of Ashlag Kabbalah, you know, and I spent a lot of time studying Breslov Kabbalah, Likutei Moharan. There are loads of essays and videos about that in my work. So the context is really very broad here. We're both into Moreh Nevuchim. The philosophical base probably of the Rebbe here.
What's that translate into roughly? The Rambam and the Likutei Moharan and
okay, Likutei Moharan. The selected essays of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. So I'm very much into that, and I work with people there. For example, up in Yavneel, I work with a couple people up there in the Breslov community. The Rambam, Maimonides, the Guide for the Perplexed, Moreh Nevuchim, is very important. That's the philosophical base, by the way, of the Rebbe here at Har Zion, Mordechai Goldstein. So you're going to be hearing a lot about Moreh Nevuchim, the Guide for the Perplexed there, especially his theory of prophecy, and especially the principles that he took from Aristotle in the beginning of section 2 of the Guide for the Perplexed. So there's a very wide base here. People like Nathan also, another student right now, and David here are much more knowledgeable about the halakha, but I'm sure they're gonna bring that into it. That's not my forte at all. So, but we have a broad context here. Some people will be relating it to halakha, and I'll be more relating it to the philosophy and the Kabbalah. And the aesthetics and okay.
I'm more the midrash. My halacha is only what I can observe from learning from the Rosh Yeshiva, and but my main focus is really midrash.
For example, what is, I don't even.
So
I'm not into midrash.
So for example, midrash is stories, simple stories, or the pieces that fill in the. It's classified as oral Torah, but it fills in the stories between Avraham having Ishmael and Yitzhak, and Ishmael getting kicked away, and that's all it says in the Torah. So the midrash, and a simple quote, because when I was younger, I had trouble reading. I was dyslexic. Spent a lot of time in frustration learning how to read. And I came across a teacher, her name was Miss Thomas actually, and she told me that one of the ways to learn better is to read quotes, because quotes have a lot of things in them. And so one of the quotes they say about Midrash is that a person who believes none of it is true is a fool, and those who believe that are all true is a bigger fool. So with that...
So how do you see the possible connection between the way you learn and what you're trying to achieve and what you think I'm trying to do here in this project?
So I guess to go back to the point before I was saying that we're starting to build a new project that's more cutting edge, because the Rosh Yeshiva, his name is kind of a given name, but the father of the Baal Tshuva movement. And what a Baal Tshuva is someone who returns, or someone, a master of returning, or the idea of going off a path and coming back to the right path, or the correct path, the Torah path, the Jewish path, whatever. A more center approach, and the Rambam would say the middle road, or Rebbe Nachman would say this narrow bridge that a person goes on, because they go from the right to the left, to the right to the left, to the middle to the left. So it's kind of the person who's a master of coming back to a more balanced approach, if you will. And so what I guess what I see now is, and he was saying how there's Ashlag, and there's Breslov, and there's Chabad, and there's all these many different faces of Judaism, and there's 70 faces of the Torah, and now this whole new concept of diaspora yeshiva is sort of the new faces of diaspora yeshiva. So you could see the wide spectrum of what a Baal Tshuva is, and that kind of thing encapsulates, is that the right? Encapsulates the whole. So encompasses or like a capsule.
To include, or
to include,
to put it into a little...
No, it includes all. I mean,
encompass.
Judaism encompasses, a Baal Tshuva can be any sort of person, and it's not only, and yeshivas are not only one or the other. So this diaspora yeshiva and the Rosh Yeshiva is very innovative in his teachings.
Okay, my work, you probably know about it, is working with Gestalt Therapy. Again, I'm not licensed, but I've been doing it for 35 years. And so we're not calling it therapy.
We're calling it Gestalt training.
We're calling it education, we're calling it culture, we're calling it performing arts, whatever you like. But we can't call it therapy, even though I play around with the techniques. I've been playing around with them for 35 years. But we're looking at, that's exactly, we're playing around with techniques, creative tools. I take them from here, from there, and the other place. Especially I take them from Gestalt Therapy tradition, and especially I take them from performing arts. And especially in the performing arts, I'm taking them from a lot of experiments I had with experimental theater, especially physical theater. Richard Schechner, for example, the Iowa Theater Lab. Who else did I work with? The Open Theater. I worked with those kind of processes. I even did a workshop for 10 days with the Grotowski Theater Lab. That practically died on us during that one. And then especially I was influenced by Mabu Mines, that formalistic Brechtian, post-Brechtian, that kind of stuff. All right, so all these techniques of actor training, working with actors for 35 years.
So it's more of a synthesis of a bunch of different ideas of how to act. I'm new to acting. I haven't
developing people's creativity.
I'm not trying to be an actor. I am. Everyone's an actor. I think Shakespeare said that, and I'm quoting this the guy David Cohen. He says, I think Shakespeare says that life is a stage and we're just actors. So I guess in a sense I am an actor, but I don't have any formal training in acting, and that's one of the reasons that I came here is to become more aware, or more into to how a person should perform, and how a person should act, and how a person should relate with the world, with people, with the camera, with whatever situation that they're in. And to tell you the truth, or to be upfront, is he's definitely not a therapist, and I've been to many therapists. I went through a small, what they called was a depression, and went through many different therapists and many pharmaceutical drugs, and again, just another bump in the road, I guess it was, and a trying experience, and most of it had to do with withdrawals from the drugs that I chose to use, and also from a past history of depression in my family, and so I've been through all the therapy that a person would need, and it really hit my pocketbook. So this isn't therapy because, one, it doesn't cost money, and two, I'm not walking out with a drug. So it's
yeah. By the way,
therapy.
yeah. The deal here is that he gets it all for free, with the condition that I can video it. You know, so. If you see videos, that means he got it for free. If you don't see videos, that means he didn't want to pay me, and because he got to a point where he said, if you don't, that I'm not going to let you video it, I want the therapy. Then I said, you got to pay me, you know, okay.
And it's and believe me, I'll let him video because I don't really have the money to spend on therapy, because again, the therapist. Usually you walk out of therapy feeling one, mad because you spoke for an hour and you gave up about $250 I was paying this one psychiatrist. And
$250 for an hour?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I walked out of medical school. I was thinking about being a psychiatrist. All right, go on.
And like I said, you walk out with another couple pills or an increase in your dosage or whatever that is, and really even the first time I was there, I told him that I wasn't into using any sort of drugs. I didn't think that I was depressed, and now I'm here. So I guess a person's past brings them to the present, and to look forward to the future. So now that I'm here, and now that I'm sane, I guess the Israel government doesn't seem to think so, as they continue sending me to psychiatrists to get these letters.
Oh, yeah?
And you know, it's the bureaucratic thing of Israel, and something that you have to go through. On the spiritual level, if with the Torah as the guide, there's the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, author of the Zohar. He writes, he was a sage of the Talmud, which is another section of the Oral Torah, that he says 3 things come from suffering, and that is Israel, Torah, and Olam Haba. Olam Haba being the next world, and so really I guess I get to really live that experience of going through the sufferings, of getting the privilege, the honor, the greatness of dwelling in Israel. And
let me just, I don't want to give a false impression that it's like I'm the showbiz man and he's the patient and what's he doing here. No, I stress again and again that
this is a collaboration.
Not just that, the process for me is more important than the product, okay? I've been very much, even though I walked out of medical school, the main center of my life for 35 years has been helping people to be to fulfill their potential. Basically, I've been a healer for 35 years, and as far as finished productions, there are very few. Very few. When I was studying music composition, I got to the point I wrote a piece for orchestra, dancers, and film. Now, okay, that was performed. They gave me applause and everything.
Did you ever do Broadway work?
No. And I wrote 5 musical shows, and they're all on the internet, by the way. You can see them there. I did a monologue version of them because I couldn't pay actors. But anyway, the process is more, especially in this project right now. The process is more important than the product. So whether I get a show out of this guy at the end is important, but it's not the main thing. It's good to have it as a focus, but what you're seeing now is basically the show. Is basically the main thing that we have to show you. That I have to show you. Excuse me. And I hope that something that the product will happen. But okay, I just want to correct that balance. Okay. Let's see how much time we got left. We got about another. We still have 30 minutes. We still got 30 minutes. Okay, terrific. So. That's a lot of time. What would you like to? In what direction would you like to go now?
Well, I guess on the path of what's kind of the global picture, and that is what he just commented on was making people fulfill their potential and giving them the proper tools to fulfill those those potentials.
Right. Well,
Because
let me say this. Sometimes, especially this guy Nathan I work with, always telling me, well, you know, you got to give me the tools to make. I want to be a great actor. How am I going to be a great actor? How am I going to stop being afraid of approaching women? You know, he wants a Band-Aid. He wants to give me this pill, give me that pill. And I say to him, all I can give you is to help you get in touch with reality better, to help you deal with your own process of being an actor in your own life and making your own decisions, your own choices. An actor to me is a person that knows how to act, and if you can't be convincing in your own life as an actor, even to just you know, to sell somebody a used car or something, then you're not going to be convincing as a performer, in my opinion, anyway, because you don't know how to act. You know. Okay, go on.
So, and I think one of the what FRANKLYN offers is as he said, a diverse background from the medical field to the acting world to the musical art. So a real person that can come with experience, that can relate on many different fields or levels. And also he has all the necessary equipment that usually stops a person or is their first excuse as to why they can't accomplish something. And I learned with the Rosh Yeshiva that he's done put a lot of energy into me, into fixing my characteristic traits, or as they call me, midot, and he's helped considerably in getting a lot of production from me in a short amount of time. And whether I got a grant or didn't get a grant or was able to get money, which hasn't come very easily so far, but he's been able to get me to move forward. And like you said, the process is more important than the project, or than the end result. And so what my point is I'm getting at is that he's taught me every time I make some sort of criticism or excuse or some sort of way, I can't do this because I don't have a telephone.
You're talking about what the Rebbe taught you.
No, the Rebbe taught me, but I was saying what you said.
What I taught you?
No, about what you just said about the process and the product.
Yeah.
I might have a finished product, but the process was way more helpful than the product, because the product didn't get whatever was a donation or whatever the case may be. But what I learned from the Rosh Yeshiva, to clarify, is exactly that all those criticisms or excuses or complaints that I made were only my own hindrance, because I would say, oh, well, I don't have a phone, or I don't have internet, or I don't have a way to call long distance, or I can't fax. And to him, it didn't fit to him, because he said, just find a way. And so when you start using those, I guess those are creative avenues of finding a way to make something happen because you want it to happen.
Yeah.
And so working with him and now working on this project and seeing the bigger picture of not just me being in this world, and not just FRANKLYN, not just the Rosh Yeshiva, but God is in the world, Hashem is in the world, and He is putting the pieces together, and the puzzle comes complete.
Okay, now that ties in directly with this process. This process of working in the here and now, I've said it many times, I'll say it again, is you set in motion a river of awareness, phenomenology of the spirit, they call it. It's heavy stuff. You can read Hegel's Phenomenology of the Spirit, but then you can read the Kabbalah. They're basically similar dialectical systems. The stuff is profound. To understand it intellectually, you need to use tools like dialectical philosophy, and we're going to be doing a lot of that. But on the other hand, intuitively, it's just a here and now experience. You flow with it, and it works.
And I can relate the story now, the here and now.
But let me just finish this. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you set this river in motion, that you were talking about God somehow guiding you or something. So here,
guiding the world.
Guiding the world. Okay. So what pulls this process of awareness forward? I mean, why not just sit here and be aware and why does it have to go anywhere? But the amazing thing is that for 35 years I've been watching people take a trip. The river just starts flowing and people change in front of my eyes. And to understand it, if intellectually you need the heavy philosophy and everything, dialectical philosophy. But as a living experience, it just happens, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, life it does happen, and I'll relate a story of, and I don't know if this goes into what your definition of awareness is, but or
Well,
how we define
the point is that
awareness.
you might say, you can almost say that God is pulling it forward, or Aristotle's final cause is pulling it forward like with a magnet, or all kinds of theories to explain it, but somehow it just happens.
Yes, and I'll say, and then I guess you have the group awareness and the individual awareness and all these different levels of awareness, but I'll say from my standpoint and how I could relate it into this project is how the project began. It began in an elevator at Chariot, in a sense. Why? Because I walked into an elevator, you walked into an elevator, I recognized your face.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know you, I hadn't met you, I just saw your face, you were around with your brother, I'm guessing, and I saw this, and I saw him, and a question I asked him in the elevator was, I said, are you going to see the Rosh Hashiva? And he said, wow, the Rosh Hashiva's here? I said, yeah, and so we got into this whole development, and then you came to visit the Rosh Hashiva, and the Rosh Hashiva is a master at getting people to go down the river, to jump in that boat, to get down the river, or inner tube, or whatever, jet ski, whatever they want to go down the river on. He gets them moving in that river, and he pretty much presented the project or the concept that you've been wanting to do for 30 years. So there is some sort of intertwining.
I first met Rabbi Yudah Mordechai Goldstein. When I first came to Israel, they wanted to send me back because they said, you can't make a living, go back home. So he took me in there, and they found me a lawyer to help me learn how to do the Aliyah process, so I was able to stay here in the country. I met him and for 30 years, since 1982, how many years? 30 years already. He and I have been talking about, wouldn't it be nice to do some kind of a project? Exactly. And we needed this guy to come along because the Rebbe is pie in the sky and I'm pie in the sky, but we need somebody like this who knows how to deal with the legal framework and has, at least we hope, has some kind of ability administratively to make this thing work. Anyway, I want to get to something that is very important.
Okay,
we don't
fine.
have much time. And that is the crucial question of privacy, okay? Now, you know, a person that's down and out in his life, you know, you would say, well, I'm so down on my life, you know, I don't care what I say, you know, it just doesn't matter. But here's a man that, my impression is, he's a man that has a credential and a profession. He's licensed in Israel to practice law.
Not in
married.
Israel, not in America. Not in Israel.
Oh, you're married in...
No, I'm married in Israel. I don't have a lot of practice in America. Not in Israel.
Okay. So anyway, he's a lawyer, he's got a wife, now he's going to have a kid, you know, superstar. Here we're going to, if this process is going to work at all, there needs to be a certain amount of sharing private stuff. Of course, he's able to censor when it comes out of his mouth, and I'm able to censor it when I do the editing, but he understands that he's surrendering veto power for me, that there might be some stuff that he said that he doesn't want to be on the net, that he's going to be on the net, whether you like it or not, you know. You know, unless you bend my, I don't know, maybe you pay me enough, I'll take it out. But anyway, what about...
I don't have enough to pay, so it doesn't matter what I do.
So what about this? How much, you know, how do you feel about sharing stuff? What's your wife going to say if you start spilling the beans, you know?
Yeah.
What are your parents going to say, you know? What's going to happen here?
And like I said, with the Rosh Hashiva as a guide, one of his biggest, one of the things that he teaches is very much to think before you speak. And a lot of people say this think before you speak.
That's funny. Exactly what we want to teach him not to do here is to think so that you can speak spontaneously.
But there's an art to thinking as you speak, in a sense of really getting the complete picture before you speak. Meaning, and the Pirkei Avot, one of the tractates of the Talmud, the first one talks about what it takes to be wise, and that's putting first things first and last things last. Now, I believe I know what I'm speaking about, and I believe that what I'm thinking about is what I want to project. And so I do give all the creative rights and all the creative ingenuities to Franklin to use and
no, like, well, let's say not all.
Not all, fine.
If he says something or other, and later on when I make the video and everything, I realize that it's something that really would be damaging to him or to me or something, it's really too hot to put on the net, then I'll take it out. But probably I won't. You know, you have to accept that.
I might, you know, you might be surprised at some of the things I say. They might not even be the truth, but you might buy them as the truth.
By the way, you're free to lie in this process. And not only that, he's going to have to sign, we forgot to do it today, but you're going to have to sign an agreement saying that, first of all, I'm not a therapist. Second of all, you're being advised not to trust me rather than to trust me, and only to trust me as much as you decide you want to trust me later on. These are basic things that protect myself over the years, so I don't get sued or whatever. Not that there's much at stake, but, okay, go on.
And so, yeah, as far as privacy goes, and like, I don't think that I'll have paparazzis following me around anytime soon, so my private life is my private life, and what I share here is what I'm sharing from my heart or off the cuff sometimes, but at least what I'm sharing is...
10 years, 20 years from now, somebody might see this video 20 years from now.
Again, I don't think those, at least from my remembrance of defamation or any sort of laws between
Right, he's an expert, he's a lawyer, so what about defamation?
I'm not an expert, but as far as that concerns is that the audience, that it's the net, as though it looks like you're going out to billions, it really is people who are directly searching or directly wanting that information. They already have an understanding that what they're viewing is people just talking and interacting, and people do have a slip of the tongue. But as far as defamation or privacy and all those things, what is private, and those things stay between me and my wife. And things that and when you take other people, and I need to learn this even more, is when you take other people into consideration, and Rabbi Nachman, I think, talks about 3 types of knowledge, of potential knowledge, actual knowledge, and acquired knowledge. And if you have the acquired knowledge to have some sort of filter, to take people's consideration, or like have the intent of my wife or my family.
All right, let's boil it. I need some advice. Here, this is pretty risky what I'm going to do right now, but if I'm not into risk, I wouldn't be doing this business anyway. That's one of the first things I learned when I walked out of medical school, that life is just a big risk and adventure, and if you don't jump, you'll never swim. Yeah. Okay, so here's the problem. This other guy, Nathan, I'm working with, okay, he's very open, all right? And so he's doing therapy and everything, and he gets into the thing about his father, all right? Mm-hmm. So now his father is all kinds of emails, cease and desist, and and it's difficult to know how to deal with it, because on the one hand, I want to go ahead, and I know if I go ahead now and work with Nathan, his father's going to be all over his work, and so how do we deal with the situation here?
So I will say, as a law professor, Mark Rettlinger, may he be blessed with his retirement or whatever he's up to, he used to say when he got out of law school, he graduated from Cal Berkeley and top of his class, and a very smart man, and somehow I've been blessed by Hashem to be in presences of many people who are very highly educated or experts in their field or geniuses, whatever you want to call them.
So what if it were your father that were complaining about what you said?
No, I understand, and what he used to say was that my advice is worth the price you paid for it. So
tell them.
So my advice is worth the amount you pay for it. So it's really worth nothing, but I can give you an honest and simple answer that if the idea of a person wanting to stop an artist from posting something on the internet, I'm guessing that's what the idea is, and of a defamation. Well, if you're in that field of tort law or crimes against each other, and you want to say defamation has to be done with some sort of malice intent.
Tell them.
So defamation, in a short black letter law, if you will, it has to be done with a malice of intent. So as long as you can, and number 2, the absolute defense to defamation is the truth. So on one hand, the defamation suit would really be against not you, but the son. So if the son is bringing this out in a way to harm his dad because he wants to get back at his dad, or he didn't have a good child, whatever the 50 reasons may be that he said those words, it has to be done with a malice of intent.
Okay, so in this case, since I'm knowing this guy Nathan pretty well already, I would say his main motivation is that he sees himself as needing to be cured somehow or other, or to grow up or something or other. So for him, it's a personal search for truth and for for self-expression and everything. And his father is just simply another step in the process that another 10 minutes of the Gestalt therapy that he needs to go through, you know.
And again, and then another piece of defamation or any sort of torts law, as they call it in America, or statutory law or common law, whatever you want to call crimes between people, and not on the criminal level, but is you have to prove damages. So what's going to happen is this gentleman, the father of Nathan, is he's going to have to prove some sort of damages, that someone saw this video, but again, it's not going to be on your back, it's going to be on the back of his son who made the comments, and all you're doing is, with the permission of Nathan, is projecting it to the people. So really your problem is not...
I'm worried about the clock, but this is very important stuff. Okay. What can you say at this moment? Let's bring this right home to you. Assuming that your parents, or think of some of the people that you might talk about, you know, as we in this process. You can either use names or not, but looking at that camera and what could you say to that person about sharing personal stuff about that person? Okay, what would you think?
Again, as I was saying before, when speaking about my family or about my friends or about
no, say it to the family. Look, Mom,
Mom,
say
Dad, Karen,
okay,
and all the cousins and all my little cousins and all the family of above and a family in this world. What I'm saying is not here to hurt you. It's only used for my benefit or for my growth or my experience or my trials or my tribulations, to really deal with the whole case. And from my particular standpoint, I have a wonderful, thank God, relationship with my whole family. So they can understand what I'm saying is only for my own benefit, I guess, or not my own benefit, but for only for the good, because they're very open. I was very open and honest going through all the different therapies.
You just said something very important, only for the good. Now, when we get into the understanding the philosophy of the stuff, you know, think of the good as Plato's idea of the good. Think of in other words, the river, again, remember I said the river flows as though God is pulling it, or the final cause of Aristotle is pulling it. That good, that higher thing, and I mentioned this in one of the videos with Nathan, that it's not that I am directing this process, it's that some it is directing us, you and me, and I'm serving it, and you're serving it for the time being, hoping that it, God or whatever it is, will guide you towards some kind of truth, integration, whatever you want to call it, actuality, revelation, whatever jargon, imagination, whatever. Okay, so. Yeah, so for the good. So in that sense, we're being very humble here. It looks like a big ego trip, you know. He's talking about his life for the next 200 hours, and I'm, you know, talking about my work for the next 200 hours, and it looks like, boy, those guys are really getting it off on their own egos. But really, in a bigger sense, I like to think and hope that it comes across that way, that we're serving some higher purpose. And you could relate to it in whatever value system you come to. If you're a Buddhist, you can look at it as serving the Buddha. If you're a Sufi, you look at it as serving Muhammad or whatever. The process, and that's why I've been doing it for 35 years. It's even more interesting than being a psychiatrist, more interesting than being another Leonard Bernstein, more interesting than being all the other possibilities that I gave up in my life in order to do this dopey thing here and not make any money for 35 years. Is that there's something that is worth serving here that somehow I haven't found as real, as fulfilling as this thing, just sitting here in my own little studio all by myself. You know? Okay, go on.
And so I'll say again with this idea that Rabbi Nachman presents, and maybe he knows the teaching it is, but there's acquired knowledge, there's potential knowledge, actual knowledge, and acquired knowledge. And the highest stage, I guess, is acquired knowledge. So when a person, and especially with the Torah and the laws of Lashon Hara and evil speak and all these different things, if a person has the potential to learn it, and they can actualize it by putting it in practice, by shutting their mouth or by understanding what they say, and once they've acquired that knowledge, those words just don't come out to sort of attack someone or hurt someone or do anything that would want to damage a person. because it makes no sense. Because why? If I say something that's meant to attack someone else, then I have to deal with those consequences.
Yeah, for example, in the Gestalt therapy process, a lot of times, you know, especially at the top dog relationship, top dog underdog relationships. Let's say most of us in childhood have had some top dog or authoritarian person telling us how to live, how to breathe, how to wipe our behinds and everything. And so a lot of part of what we do in growing up here and shedding those games is to balance it. But you know, we're used to being the underdog in those kind of relationships. So one of the things you're supposed to do in Gestalt Therapy is tell that imaginary father or mother or grandmother or whoever it was, or God or whatever, fuck you, get off my back, you know. So, now that sounds like abuse, you know, and so the next thing you know, grandma's on the phone, grandma's saying, cease and desist, you know, you told me to fuck you, how dare you, you know, but it's just that image of grandma is stuck in this guy's head from 25 years ago, 35 years ago.
To destroy it.
And that image needs to be, has too much power. No, it needs to be not obliterated, because that's just substituting one violence for the other, you know. Okay. It needs to be balanced so that we get to the middle way, the two sides.
They need to be harnessed.
Harness that energy so you can use it for your own life instead of being subjected to it as some kind of a slave where every time you open your mouth you're afraid to, because grandmother wouldn't like what you're saying, you know.
Okay. And so again, this process, I'm only here to continue my learning, and if it turns into acting, and if he hasn't made money in 35 years, may he make his money back and more. And if I do turn into an actor and make some money, I'll be happy, my wife will be happy, and it will bring me and my wife and my soon baby
mention your wife.
Closer.
Okay, now let's be honest, okay. It's, how much time we got?
I think we have another 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Let's deal with maybe the hottest item here. Right now, this guy got married 6 months ago?
More or less 6 months
Your wife
ago.
is pregnant, but the relationship is... What's going on? Now, what if your wife is watching here and all of a sudden you're going to start saying, she starts telling you cease and desist? What's going to happen then?
I really think, and I'll take it.
Tell her, she's out there.
Fine if she does even have the patience.
No, tell her, look, sweetie.
Look, my love of my life. I'm only doing it for I only have you're my. I have no malice intent against you, and only your interest, and really I'll use Tony Robbins, who is a life coach, and he says it very, very well. Sometimes he uses very strong words just to open up some sort of attention, or be a attention grabber, or shake someone's world. So really this might even help in getting a relationship even more established, because then there's some material that I can work with, that she can work with, that will bring us closer together and develop a relationship. Okay,
let me just give a footnote to that. About a couple of years ago, I don't remember exactly, I went to Yadasbury Yeshiva one day, and a guy approaches me. They're one of the teachers there, and he says, "Oh, my wife has got serious problems. She needs Gestalt therapy." Okay, so his wife agreed, and I went over to work with her. And turns out, after working on awareness, what do we discover? That she feels she's totally into herself. She's blocking out the environment. Why? She feels nobody's listening. Here she has a young child, and she feels that the relationship with her husband isn't what it should be. He's busy trying to save the world out there in the yeshiva. He doesn't have time for her, and she's miserable, so she goes inside. And so what do? Of course, I go right away to the husband, the guy that says she has a problem. I say, okay, would you please work so we can help balance the relationship here, we can see what's going on. Oh, no, she has a problem. I don't have a problem. Me have a problem. I don't have time. A million excuses. I said, look, I went to everybody I could think of in the yeshiva, the Rosh Yeshiva. Everybody tried to convince this guy that he should work also. We refused. I said, unless you're willing to work to help deal with this relationship, you know, I'm not going to work with your wife again, because it seems like the problem is in the relationship, and you know what I mean? It's obvious what's going on here. Okay, he refused. Till this day he refuses. I was down there last week, he still refused. Okay, that's his decision, all right? Now, I'm not going to do that with you, okay? I'm not expecting that your wife will agree to work here, because this is a much more ambitious project and everything. And we know from the beginning what the story is with your wife, okay? But I just want to mention that there might be a point where, you know, your relationship with your wife might get stuck because she's not willing to work, you know?
Well, we'll see. I know that one of the reasons I did come to work with Franklin is because I did need to get to a new level or a new understanding of myself, so that I can become a better husband, so I can become a better father, so I can become a better person, so that I can, in a sense, save the world. But saving the world in the Jewish concept is saving one person. So if this out there goes out to the world and it helps someone, then I've saved the world and I've accomplished my potential. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm only here to experiment, to get better in touch with myself and to become a better husband, because a person can always become better and better in what they do. They can have better and better faith. They can have better and better trust. They can have everything to the infinite degree minus one, I guess, but not really. But you can only strive to emulate God's ways, and He is infinite. So in a sense, a person can continue to get higher and higher in any standard that they have.
How much time we got left?
According to my watch, is about 3 minutes.
Let me just try the opposite kind of a story. One of the very important leaders in the yeshiva community, and also at diaspora, about 10, 15 years ago, I don't remember exactly, I worked with him a lot. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, he calls me, my son has a problem, 7 years old, he doesn't want to go to school, he doesn't communicate, this and that and the other thing. Said, come look at him. So I went there and I brought some musical instruments and stuff and watched how all the kids interact together. I don't do Gestalt therapy with 7-year-olds, but I saw that he basically was functioning in a normal, creative way in this situation. So then I said, okay, I want to do a session with your wife. She agreed. We worked 2 hours on the awareness. He watched, and then 2 months later, I didn't do basically any more than that. 2 months later, I don't know how many months later, I called up on the phone. The wife answered the phone. How are you doing? Oh, thank you so much for the wonderful job. My son is so much better. This happened. He does this and he does that. And every time I see the father, he's telling me, oh, he's doing so good in school. So thank you so much. We did a wonderful job.
The world.
And what did I do? I simply helped the parents, the husband, to realize that by him running around trying to save the world at the yeshiva and not giving enough time and help to his wife, that she felt alienated, she felt depressed. And once he saw that, this guy was smart enough to learn a lesson and to fix the situation. And now this relationship, and the kid sees that communication is now possible in his family. This is my theory. So he can feel free to communicate also.
It's not only your theory. Shalom Arush in Garden of Peace talks about the same, that the kids can feel the energies between, and that locks them up and shuts them down. So I don't know what.
I guess we better stop.
Do you want to recap, or do you want to finish, or that's it?
No, not really.
Consider it a day.
I don't know when that thing's going to end. I'll tell you what. Let me take a look here. I think it's just about ended.
It should be, because you started it.
Okay, so assuming it's going to end, let's just end it, okay?
So thank you very much. It's very nice to meet you, and it's really a pleasure to work with you.
Okay, in another hour we're going to do our first word session on awareness, and we'll see what happens after that, and we'll see if after that he still wants to go go through the meat grinder here.
Let me tell you, I've been through many meat grinders, and I'm still alive to stand. So
okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.